afternoon, or even good evening, no, to everybody. We will wait only 1 more minute to allow the others to join. We do have a good number of registered participants for the session, so just 1 more minute and then we will start soon.
Perfect. No. Pero cuando sale.
Okay, I think that during this minutes, no, that the others will join us, we can start with some practical informations about the session. So I think that all of us are really now very familiar, no, with Zoom, but we do have the interpretation icon here in the end of the window. If you need translation, please just activate the interpretation button. Do not forget to press to turn off the original video, the original audio, sorry, to be able to then listen the translated one. No, so this is a first recommendation. The second one, so you please, if you could use the chat as much as you can. No, we really want to listen to you. We really want to know your questions, or even to know your comments, or also to introduce yourself. So if you please could use the chat as much as you want. You all know here, but you do have the icon of the chat here. And also please stay on mute. We can mute all of you, but we really count on your contribution and your collaboration to be on mute. And then the next slide, please, Sophia, is also we do recommend to you to turn on your video. In that difficult time, know that people is not being able to be together. At least the video give to us a sense, know that you are exchanging more than words. So yeah, please feel free for sure, but we welcome all of you to turn on your video to have a more close session and discussion and dialogue. Yeah, and again, thanks to the sponsors of the World Cocoa Foundation workshop, nonetheless, Mars and all the others here that are listed. Thank you so much. And yeah, let's start our session. My name is Fabiola Zerbini. I am the regional director for TFA, Tropical Forest Alliance here in Latin America. So it's my pleasure. Thanks a lot to the World Cocoa Foundation team and Wendy and Alice's team for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here moderating such incredible people who have been working and doing so much on the cocoa supply chain, on the sustainability agenda, to the Amazon. So it's more than a pleasure, and I think it's an honor and a responsibility, to be among such experts. So let's start our session. The first, it's so good to have you all choosing this session as a priority to you, because us here, the organizations that are here, are prioritizing the cocoa as one of the main solutions for the Amazon challenge and the Amazon problems. So this is very important for us to have you here, because this is also a very important project for us. And why? Because first, the Amazon needs a supranational coordination to really address the challenge. So having Colombia, Peru, Brazil, potentially Ecuador, Bolivia, and others contributing to one Amazonian project focused in cocoa supply chain is amazing, and it's an opportunity also to leverage the cooperation inside the region to address such challenging issues related with the Amazon protection. Second, because the cocoa production is super well positioned among different agendas that needs to be aligned to really leverage and increase the impacts, the positive impacts that all of us are committed to. So we do see a possibility to combine not only the free deforestation supply chain discussion that is very important. No any country or any company wants to really or needs to avoid the deforestation risk of its own supply chain. But beyond that, we can also work with restoration, social inclusion, how to really activate the economy post-COVID and the bioeconomy. So there's a unique opportunity for the cocoa supply chain inside the Amazon to really combine all these agendas. And third and last, I think the main, it's very good also for the cocoa international trade, the demand side actors, to diversify its own supply chains. I think if we could add Latin America as a key region also to supply cocoa to the world, for sure that it will be a win-win for all the actors that are involved, directly involved, but also for the consumers who loves its chocolates and all the other projects that we can do with the cocoa. So no more words, go directly to Wendy Arenas. Before that, Wendy is nowadays the CEO or the director executive of Alisos. And Alisos has been a very important organization here, mostly initially focused in Colombia, but now more regional than ever, and have been working in the last 10 years to really understand that, to change the models of development, economic development towards a more sustainable present and future, for the cocoa mainly, but not only. So Wendy Arenas will present to us a study that will bring some data, recent data. We call it as a background paper. And it's a very important way to start, because we need to be well informed to go through such a challenging but interesting and exciting agenda as the Amazonian cocoa origin is. So Wendy, you will have 15 minutes. It's my pleasure to hand over to you. And please, let's...
Thank you, Fabiola, and thank you to all of you that are here sharing with us. We're going to have a very, I hope, interesting conversation today. What I'm going to share with you is the background paper on sustainable Amazon cocoa. It's been developed jointly through 3 coalitions with the guidance support of TFA Latin America. And we've been working with Cocoa Action in Brazil, and we've been working with Alianza Cacao Peru, and the initiative of cocoa, the Forest Cocoa and Peace Initiative of Colombia, which is one of the cocoa and forest initiative of the World Cocoa Foundation. So I'm going to have, like Fabiola mentioned, a very quick picture of how the Amazon is looking today in terms of forest, which is critical for the world, critical for all of us. How does it look in terms of cocoa, its productions, its potentials, its risks, and also its benefits for the producers in the Amazon region? And I would like then to start, I could go to the next slide. So the background paper should serve as a technical input to encourage efforts towards a common vision that leads to an agreement and action plan for a sustainable Amazon cocoa. And this is what all of us, more than 50 people have been, institutions, industry, governments have been working in the last dialogues that have been convened by TFA and all the coalitions that I just mentioned. The next one. So we'll see, I'll share with you what this background paper will have. It will have mainly 4 chapters, and the first one we've called Territorial Intelligence, where we can see how the forest is looking, the protected areas, the crops locations, forest and deforestation, and cocoa deforested areas or recovered and degraded areas. And this is a point that we will want to emphasize as we go along in this conversation today. Also, we'll have a chapter on socioeconomic data in terms of productivity, production, practices, systems, producers, its characteristics, agroforestry models, which is a huge challenge for all of us, and government and international cooperation to promote a sustainable cocoa that protects actually our rainforest in the Amazon. The third chapter has to do with the market demand, a key player if we want to have a sustainable cocoa and a cocoa that definitely helps to protect the Amazon forest. So we'll see how the national and sub-regional production is operating today, cocoa exports by country, comparison between the producing areas of the three countries, and how the international and national demand on cocoa prices, and if the market is sufficiently sensitive to having a sustainable cocoa from the Amazon, and recommendations from how are we looking or understanding are the main attributes of cocoa production in the Amazon forest that leads to the protection of the forest, that helps restore the areas that have been degraded and closing the agricultural frontier as well. So we'll have recommendations on environmental, social, quality attributes in relation to price, varieties, and productions. So let me share with you just some of the findings. And the first finding is, well, to remind us all, the area of the study. We're basically talking about the Amazon area in what is called the legal Amazon, the jurisdictions legally recognized in the Amazon area for the three countries. And here you can see the map. Of course, green is the forest, red is deforested areas. And this, just bear in mind, this biome plays a critical role in terms of climate change, and also we will have to be looking, always having this map on our background. This is the area of interest of the study. The next slide, we will be able to see how the protected areas, and this is something that is really important. The Amazon region is an area where governments have made a very important effort to protect the forest, and protected in terms of environmental protections in the different figures that exist today, but also in terms of cultural and resguardos or indigenous reserves as each of the countries defined it. So it's an area that it has been from the government, and all these countries said we have to protect it. So you see this map, and all these dotted areas are areas that will have either environmental or other forms of protection. The next one. And this is how the production is looking up to the 2018 and 17 and some of the areas that you're going to be looking. And here you can see the intensity of the production in terms of areas that have been planted producing. The darker the blue is, the more productions you will see of cocoa in those areas. The lighter the blue, towards the yellow, the less production. So you'll go from 1 hectare to 25 hectares in the yellow, to 17,000 to 45,000 hectares, the deep blue. This is, and now the next one, what we will see is how these areas look when you put the protected areas on it. So, and I want to bear in mind for all of you that are seeing these maps, don't be mistaken of the colors, because basically what we've seen here, and one of the biggest finding is that we don't have GOP references, GPS references to the actual predios, areas of cultivation. So these are jurisdictions, either called municipalities, distritos, or veredas and others. So the blue doesn't mean that the whole area has that intensity, but in that jurisdiction where there is a superposition of protected areas. And this is the first thing that we will have to bear in mind when we're looking at cocoa in the Amazon area basin. Next one. This is a first, and I just want to make emphasis, this is our first draft. This is not the final report, so probably the final report will have some adjustments, but this is also elaborated from public information, what is available, and official information actually. So in the three countries today, we can say that there is approximately 311,849 hectares cultivated of cocoa in the Amazon region for the three countries, that correspond more or less to 2,492 tons produced. it represents the 33.6% of the total productions of the three countries in terms of hectares, and almost the 60% of the produce in the three countries in terms of tonnage, granos. In Peru, as you see, Peru is the biggest, the largest producer. Sorry, could you go back to the next slide? No, before, I haven't finished. Maybe I'm going too slow. That's a message that I should go faster, maybe. Okay, so just as you see here, Peru is a country where it has the most amount of production. 98% of the production of the cocoa produced in Peru is produced in the Amazon region, Colombia being the smallest country with only 8,282 hectares, Brazil 151,000 hectares approx, and with a production total as you see on the slide. We could move then to the next one. Thank you. So what are these are how we producers in the Amazon look like. In Brazil, we have 18,549 producers, families producing. In Colombia, 1,500, Peru, 1,300 families approximately producing. And these are an estimated cost of establishment, not of maintenance, but of establishment to establish a hectare of cocoa in the Amazon. These are the different data cifras that you will see: 2,400 for Brazil, 1,700 for Colombia, and 1,700 for Peru. And the average productivity being the highest in Brazil, the lowest in Colombia, and Peru with 72%, 0.72 tons per hectare. So of course we have challenges here in terms of productivity, of course, and that's something that we have to start looking into in the future. The next one. Cocoa, and one of our understanding and meanings of cocoa in the Amazon region, it certainly has to be in agroforestry models and systems because of its restorative potential in terms of forest, in terms of forest, and in terms of production. So what are some of the advantages that we can see that agroforestry systems may have in the Amazon region? The first one, of course, is, could you go to the next bullet? It's an opportunity to host high plant diversity within the crops. So you will have a diversity. Certainly we're having monoculture or homogeneous cocoa is not what is estimated the best for the Amazon region. The next opportunity, it's important to guarantee some connectivity between different forest patches and improving the ecosystem health. A third opportunity given by the cocoa under the agroforestry system, next bullet please, has to do with the recovery of endangered forest species populations throughout the selection of species. So what the system will look like will be critical for the Amazon region in those degraded areas. The next one, please. It reduces the future pressure on forests by providing wood and permanent shade to the cocoa tree itself. And last, one of the advantages has to do with that the diversification of the producer's incomes by including other species that can contribute and contributed today mainly to food security, and some forest in terms of timber and non-timber products that provide better livelihoods for the family in the region of in the Amazon region. So of course, this is something that will be stressed probably mostly from the agreement or the coalitions or the action plan that we will define, is that agroforestry systems will be probably the model to promote in the Amazon region. Challenges, many, huge. Overcoming a lack of data on the production in the Amazon region. If the Amazon region, even in areas that have been degraded, deforested by other drivers, not cocoa, because generally speaking, in the three countries, the deforestation hasn't been done by the cocoa production. It has been done either by cattle ranching, either roads that bring other mining, hydroelectrics, capturing of cooptación de tierra, when big landowners buying and deforesting for different reasons, and of course for Colombia and Peru in the last decades, coca production, which has been one of the drivers, and cocoa in agroforestry comes as an alternative to those deforested areas. So challenges is we need to know what is really happening at the level of the producers, farmers at that level, in order to assure that new productions of cocoa doesn't open the agricultural frontier and effectively is restoring the areas degraded. Commitment from industry, donors, and governments to promote sustainable cocoa in the region that helps restore and prevent deforestation. And this comes in terms of strong MRV, fostering and promoting the coalitions that already exist, having more data, having incentive, positive incentives, and negative and disincentives where areas that if deforestation is associated with cocoa. So they play a key role here. And of course, understanding and defining what does it mean to have a sustainable cocoa in the Amazon region. This study will, I must say, it was done with the support of TFA, which is an initiative of the World Economic Forum, will be ready by the first week of December, and probably very happily and gladly, we would love to share it with you afterwards in December. Let us know your email so we can send it to you. And this is in a very nutshell, what I wanted to share with all of you as an open point for our discussion now. Fabiola, back to you.
Thanks so much, Wendy. Perfect on time, huh?
Miracle,
yeah.
miracle, miracle.
Miracle, I know, but thank you so much. I think one of the challenges here, the lack of data, is exactly where the study is positioned now. So we really started to look at the Amazon cocoa production in a different way, and this is just a starting moment. Now we will continue to understand, and we need data and we need science to really build a strong and a solid case, economic, social, and environmental case for the cocoa Amazon region production. And these are the three pillars that will also structure the dialogue, firstly with the panelists, with the speakers that we invited. A lot of people who have been working in Brazil, Colombia, Peru, on the cocoa production or on projects related with the cocoa production. So the key questions that we do have covers all these three aspects: the social aspects, the environmental aspects, and the economic aspects. But beyond that, how can we as a region really can leverage the collaboration, the cooperation among our countries and production models and the alliances and the producers and governments, to really guarantee that this will be a regional, strong and solid project for the world. So I will start with my friend, Jose Trujillo, or Pepe. He's the director of Alianza Cacao Peru. Jose, I know that Peru has a great potentiality to really address and to really bring to the discussion how to guarantee that the communities and the social piece, the social element will be also covered by this Amazon cocoa region project. But if you want to add also your perspectives on how it can contribute to the environment and to the economic case, I would love to listen to you. 5 minutes, please. Hand over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fabiola, and congratulations to Wendy for a wonderful presentation, and very clear and very productive with the information. I'm Jose. I'm from Peru. I am the director of Cacao, Alianza Cacao Peru, Peru Alliance, which is a public-private initiative supported by USAID. We work with most of the value chain here in Peru, in the cacao value chain. And as Wendy mentioned, here in Peru, I mean, the growth in cacao is connected with the coca production, illegal coca production. For a long time, Peru was one of the first producer of coca. I'm talking about the 80s and the 90s of the last century, right? The cacao was the best product to replace the coca. But the coca and other short-term crops like cassava, corn, cotton was the main cattle too, was the main responsible for deforestation here. For our point of view and for our experience, cacao really helped to restore degraded areas, degraded by coca, degraded by cattle, degraded by cotton, corn, and many other crops which are not for tropical areas. So why cacao, in our experience, helps to restore degraded areas? First, cacao is a tree. Cacao is a tree. It's a fruit too. It's a fruit tree. Cacao is a permanent crop, which is very important. When the small farmers move from the mountains to the jungle, they start with crops. We mean short-term crops, and they deforest a lot, and with the not really high profitability. When they initiate in cacao, they want to establish in one place, which is very important, because they in this case they're planning to be there for long period, for long more years. So the other things that why cacao it's a very good crop to restore degraded areas is because Wendy just mentioned too, cacao needs shadow, permanent shadow to grow correctly. So it's very important this complementation between trees, I mean timber trees with cacao, with other this type of tree. In the areas that we work, we have more or less 60,000 small farmers. The average area is around 14 hectares. These 14 hectares, 3 are from cacao, 1.5 are from other crops. So we have bosque, means we have a tree, we have a forest. We have more or less 500, almost 600,000 hectares, which can be restored, can be incorporated with trees to work together with the cacao. So for us, I think cacao could be a very good solution to help to recover degraded areas. But one important thing is that we need to change the business model which is predominant in Latin America now. We need to change the way that we produce now. The productivity of cacao is still low. We have to improve productivity. We always say we have to produce more in less space, which means we have to introduce more technology. I'm talking about fertilization. Just 20% of the farmers fertilize. We need to improve that. Few of them use some tools, minimally, tools to use less labor to produce cacao. But at the same time, we need to move to the different kind of cacao. This is why this initiative of cacao with Amazon origin is very important. We want to sell something different to the world. We want to sell something different, which means we are not pressured the bush we're producing with more and less space. We want to incorporate trees, which means restore the landscape, and we want to produce cacao without trabajo infantil, I don't know what to traduce, and with other characteristics in quality, which is very important. We, as you know, Latin America is the origin, the Amazon in Latin America is the region of origin of cacao. We have the fine flavor cacao everywhere, so we have to sell something different to the world with flavor, different flavors, different, better quality, and introduce all these social and environmental characteristics which we can really develop very well. So we are working on that, and we are so happy that we are working with other countries and other partners like in Brazil, Colombia, and I think this could be have a very good future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, José. Gracias, muchísimas gracias. No? I will now ask you, and I'm very proud to introduce you to Miguel Játegui. I don't know if no sé si estoy hablando bien, pero tú me corriges después, Miguel. He's sorry, can you say, José?
Just Miguel Reategui.
Aló, muy buenos días.
Buenos días. Just to introduce you, Miguel, it's super important to have your voice here, the producer voice here, and in a such important region as San Martin. I think the jurisdictional approach is something that it's really important for this project. So, muchísimas gracias, Miguel. Y por favor, tienes 5 minutos para compartir tu experiencia desde el suelo, desde la base de la producción. Bienvenido.
Muchas gracias con todos, muy buenas tardes. Agradecer primeramente a Alianza Cacao Perú por la invitación. Yo trabajo en el campo, produzco cacao. Hace 6 años atrás producíamos poco cacao, pero con el conocimiento y la asesoría de Alianza Cacao, ahora estamos produciendo ya regular cacao de calidad, y también estamos ayudando a reforestar nuestro ambiente. Antes nosotros como agricultores en el campo producíamos maíz, y muchos también de pronto coca, el pasto, y se estaba viendo que estaban deforestando, y la producción de maíz y de pronto el pasto no era muy rentable en algunos sitios porque no había acceso de transportes, estaban sembrando coca. Pero con el cacao y fertilizando hemos aumentado nuestra producción y gracias a Dios estamos mejor. Hemos visto que es muy rentable porque es un trabajo familiar, en equipo, con nuestras familias, con nuestros hijos, y es muy bueno. También al aumentar nuestra producción de cacao, hemos visto muy rentable, ya que el cacao, como dice el ingeniero Iturrios, es un árbol, es una fruta donde ayuda a bajar el recalentamiento global, porque es un ecosistema donde hay insectos, hay frutas, hay árboles que hemos sembrado, y se ha visto estos últimos años que las lluvias han venido, los que se estaban alejando. Hay más lluvias, hay más aves que no se ha visto en nuestras parcelas, no se ha visto en nuestras fincas, han venido. Gracias a Dios por el manejo del cacao que hemos visto. Por mi zona antes era pastizales, maizales, ahora son fincas. Cuando uno va, es hermoso ese paisaje, es hermoso ver las plantaciones de cacao, las plantaciones de árboles que uno ya se ha sembrado, como caoba, pino chuncho, capirona, árboles que sí han ayudado bastante a bajar el recalentamiento global. Cuando uno está en nuestra parcela, uno empieza a trabajar cosechando con nuestras familias, con nuestros hijos, damos trabajo a otras personas, y en las tardes ese aire, ese frescor de la planta es muy bonito. Por ello la experiencia es de que gracias a Alianza Cacao nosotros hemos producido más cacao. Al producir más cacao utilizando la tecnología fertilizando, ha sido más rentable. Y muchos agricultores que estaban deforestando montañas, tumbando árboles, han visto en nosotros que sí el cacao es rentable, pero sí hay que utilizar la tecnología, pero sí hay que capacitarnos, y ahí donde Alianza Cacao ha entrado con nosotros. Y nosotros a la vez hemos capacitado a muchos agricultores que ahora ya tenían 2 parcelas, 5 hectáreas, digamos, ahora ya van par 6 sembrando. ¿Por qué? Porque sí han utilizado la tecnología, sí han visto que el cacao sí es rentable, pero que es un trabajo familiar, fuera de que es un trabajo en equipo, también nos ayuda a bajar el recalentamiento global, que mucho daño de pronto en esta zona, en San Martín, estaba haciendo daño. Ahora sí estamos produciendo, sí es rentable. Claro, hay momentos que la plaga también nos afecta, pero ahí estamos trabajando. Estamos mejorando en qué hemos fallado primero, en qué podemos hacer, qué podemos cambiar, ¿Para qué? Para seguir en equipo. Tenemos parcelas de plátano, trabajamos como bien dice Di, el cacao es una planta, es una fruta que nos encanta trabajar, nos vacila trabajar y lo importante de todo esto, como vuelvo a recalcar, es un trabajo de familia, donde el hijo, la esposa, nuestros hermanos nos ayudamos, cosechamos y vemos la rentabilidad sin necesidad de pronto de seguir deforestando más árboles. Si tenemos 5 hectáreas bien manejado, bien fertilizado, suficiente. Ahora, si no fertilizamos nuestras parcelas, estábamos cometiendo el error de seguir deforestando. Queríamos sembrar 15 hectáreas de cacao, ¿sí? Pero no era rentable. Pero si empezamos a utilizar la tecnología, el apoyo de la Alianza Cacao Perú con sus técnicos élites que nos han enseñado, con 5 hectáreas suficiente puedo producir lo que antes de pronto deforestaban 15 hectáreas. Y esa tecnología aún no estamos compartiendo, impartiendo a las personas que de pronto estamos en el campo. Eso es la experiencia que yo de pronto puedo compartirles y de pronto tengo parcelas también agroforestales que muy bien se adaptan al cacao. Tengo caobas, hay plantaciones que puede estar la plantaciones de árboles y el cacao y produciendo muy bien. Esa es la experiencia que puedo yo compartirles. Más bien, muchas gracias por su atención.
Muchísimas gracias, Miguel. De verdad necesitamos de este diálogo y de esta interlocución, porque tanto las prácticas, las tecnologías, pero también el significado mejor, ¿no? En términos de trabajo, condiciones de vida, esto es central, ¿no? Y tu voz es más que relevante, ¿no? Es central en esta discusión. Thank you so much, Miguel. I will now shift again to English. Jean-Dominique from the World Bank, can you bring us your thoughts, about how can the regional cooperation, also including knowledge exchange, but beyond that, can really support, the agenda around the free deforestation, but more than the free deforestation, as we are talking here in the Amazon region in cocoa. Also bringing your perspective on how the private sector can be finally engaged, on this supply chain and on the project that we are working. Thanks, Jean-Dominique. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fabiola. Are you hearing me okay? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and thank you also to WCF and Alisos for the opportunity. So I am Jean-Dominique Bescand, a private sector specialist working at the Climate Change Unit at the World Bank. Before to deep dive into regional cooperation, I wanted to take first a step back on the different contexts and regions of the cocoa producer countries, because before to protect and restore it, we need to have a good understanding of the drivers and reason of deforestation. As Jose said, cocoa was historically produced in Latin America, but it's now concentrated in Africa with 2/3 of the global production, mainly in Ivory Coast and Ghana. But in fact, the agricultural sector, and I guess Wendy mentioned that in her presentation, is the main driver of deforestation, where you've got crops such as palm oil, soy, cattle, and wood products, which are regrouping maybe 40% of the deforestation. And within that, cocoa is a relatively small global deforestation footprint. But because of the trends of the production and the region where the cocoa is grown, it's a real threat for biodiversity and tropical forest. It's important to acknowledge that in Ivory Coast, the rhythm of deforestation was really huge. In fact, we passed from 8 million hectares in the 90s to only 3 million in 2015, with a rate of deforestation more than 2.6% per year. And in Ghana, it was even worse, and with, for example, a loss of 175,000 hectares per year. So this drastic reduction of natural capital and forest, this is calling us, in fact, to revise the agricultural production model and also to learn from those regional experiences. Now, it's important to notice that, and that's the Latin American case, there is an increased global demand for the Latin American cocoa. And That is mainly due to the fact that we've got a rejuvenated cocoa sector, which is enjoying better productivity and also increasing the share of the cocoa market, the fine flavor market. But that is mainly due to the high-tech, the large-scale system, which are providing these higher leads. And it's present a more defined professional production sector, with cocoa price continuing upward the path, and rising levels of investment will flow into the region. Latin America has demonstrated that there are ways to increase cocoa yields. And we just heard an explanation of how agroforestry models could provide multifunction properties to restore degraded forest and improving sustainability of cocoa production. Now, I wanted to indicate that the FCPF, the one of the programs that I am working on, the Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, which is supporting 47 countries and to develop some jurisdictional programs. We've got a regional example over there of coalition in Western Africa with the Cocoa and Forest Initiative, and more specifically in Ivory Coast. Through this collaboration with the private sector, we had raised a strong commitment of 60 million from the cocoa companies to invest into agroforestry models in forest over there. And those would be rewarded by, in fact, generating some emission reductions payment directly to the cocoa farmers and cooperatives. With this program, the FCPF, we are developing a cocoa agroforestry guide, which will help also to share different knowledges between those two regions, Western Africa and Latin America. As Wendy mentioned, the monitoring, reporting, and verification, the MAV system, is also another area where the cooperation could bring some support. FCPF is supporting countries to track the implementation and performance of REDD activities on the ground. And the satellite data, the early warning systems, and advanced technology tools will enable traceability of the cocoa value chain and enforce the stakeholders to eliminate deforestation hotspots. If we are now deep diving into the already existent initiative of cooperation, of course, there is this Cocoa and Forest and Peace Initiative, which is regrouping 17 companies and the Colombian government to support this sustainable and zero deforestation productive model, and also supporting, again, the MRV systems, for example. There are interesting agroforestry models in Brazil, in Peru, in Ecuador, in Dominican Republic. And as Miguel mentioned, we've got already some very good examples here of regional professional farms, which are working with research institutes and develop some agronomic methodologies, and which are targeting huge yields, which could go up to 3 tons per hectare. The CFI that I mentioned earlier is another important regional example. And in fact, I do believe that the regional cooperation and the institutions such as the World Bank are here to support those pledges and initiatives and help them to transform the pledges into actions and to support the implementation. So that's why we are running with the FCPF a South-South knowledge exchange component, which will share these experiences between Western Africa and Latin America to support the core group of those countries, to train them on learning negotiation skills and techniques, to adapt the different learning to their own context and create synergies. The overall objective of this activity will be to fill a major gap and implementation that should be addressed to enhance the complementarity of private and public sector efforts and to support the Cocoa and Peace Initiative pledges to be implemented. So those are the lesson learned and ongoing work, in fact, to foster the regional cooperative activities.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Jean-Dominique. I think, yeah, beyond the regional Latin America cooperation, it's very important that you bring the global and the South-South, how Africa and Latin America can work together. We are not competing, and how can we really, really leverage the quality, the environment, and the social quality. It will be a win for us as a region, but also for the global. So thank you so much. Now I will invite Silvia Alvarez from WCS, or Wildlife Conservation Society, based in Colombia, to bring, Silvia, your perspective from the Colombia context, and mainly focus on how can really the Amazon regional cocoa can help us to protect the Amazon, to preserve the Amazon, or to conserve the Amazon to the world. Thank you. It's 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Fabiola, and also thank you, Wendy and WCF, for the invitation to this session. I'm really excited to be here. So on one hand, I would like to start by thinking that the future of commodities production and of course of cocoa depends in great part on the development of sustainable agricultural business models. And on the other hand, I also think that the future chances that we have to protect the Amazon forest and stop deforestation and maintain its biodiversity and ecosystem services are also depending on the development of sustainable agroforestry business models. So in that sense, cocoa, by being a species that is original from the Amazon, if it can be produced sustainably, I think it is an ideal candidate to support conservation of the Amazon forest. And I think to expand a little bit more on this idea from an ecological perspective and environmental perspective, I think there are at least 4 ways in which cocoa can help protect and restore the Amazon forest. And some of them have already been mentioned by Wendy and Jose, but I think I'm going to expand a little bit on them. So first, I think when cocoa is grown with native companion trees, it can result in much more complex vegetation structure, and this is definitely going to provide habitat for many species. As Miguel mentioned, they observed more species of birds and insects than in other crops. And this kind of generates an opportunity or a strategy, or turns into a strategy to support conservation of threatened species of plants and animals in the Amazon. A second way in which I think cocoa can help conserve Amazon forest is by improving landscape characteristics, and this can promote biodiversity and support ecosystem services for communities, for example, by improving connectivity. And some of these ecosystem services that can be improved, which are, by the way, they are usually unacknowledged by the market, are key to maintaining not only the forest, but also the cocoa crops and other agricultural or productive systems. I think that also Amazon agroforestry systems will not necessarily restore ecosystems completely. That is probably not possible 100%, but it will rehabilitate for sure functions that are crucial for people and wildlife and agricultural systems. A third point is that Amazon cocoa is, or producing Amazon cocoa sustainably would also offer an opportunity to protect cocoa genetic diversity. And I think this is a key point when we think about global environmental change. And so having higher genetic diversity will definitely increase the resilience of the cocoa sector. It will reduce its vulnerability to climate change, and at the end, this will translate into reducing risk of income or yield loss. And a final point, so last but not least, I think that, and it has been now pretty much well explained by Miguel, is that agroforestry systems can provide other natural resources to farmers, and resources that they would otherwise obtain from the forest, which will reduce pressure on forest. So a successful cocoa business model, which would improve income significantly, could even become an incentive for farmers to protect or restore part of the forest or of their land, as stressed out by Miguel. And I think this is one important strategy that can be achieved through conservation agreements. This is something we have successfully promoted among local producers at WCS. And I want to mention one risk I think we need to think about is that it can also become, cocoa could also become a deforestation driver, and it was a deforestation driver in Peru, as mentioned by Jose. And so we definitely need to build a strong agreements among the different stakeholders in the value chain. And we need to put in place monitoring systems that incorporate traceability, transparency, and very high socio-ecological standards if we want to make sure that cocoa can support conservation of Amazon forests. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Silvia. I will invite now Manuel Vicente Tejada, the Chucula in Colombia, to bring also your own perspective, as in a different place from the supply chain, but how can you, what should you bring to us now about Colombian production on the case of the Amazon cocoa region? Please, Manuel, 5 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm Manuel Tejada. I am the director of Chuculat. Chuculat is a bean-to-bar chocolate company. We make chocolate with sustainability criteria. We export our chocolate with Amazonian cacao to different countries like France, United Kingdom, Slovakia, and Japan. What sustainability means for us? It means zero deforestation, it means restoration, and best incomes for the farmers. Our focus is in the Caquetá department in Colombia. It is located in the Piedemonte Amazónico. It is an area, like in Peru, highly affected by coca crops and deforestation, and recently by the armed conflict. Caquetá in Colombia is the highest deforestation rates in Colombia. So it's a big problem, the deforestation in this area. The deforestation drivers are mainly land concentration for cattle mainly, and most of our farmers are victims of the conflict, and also coca producers who have voluntarily substituted coca crops by cacao crops. We work actually with 2 associations in 4 towns or municipalities in this area that bring together about 150 producers. They are named Asoacasan and Comcap. How do we do it? Strengthening the capacities of the organizations, technical capacities, but also their business capacities, democracy, and yeah, that's all of that. implementing best practices on post-harvest processes in a central processing plant for fermentation and drying that ensures a homogeneous quality of the cocoa beans. Also, continuous improvement of those post-harvest processes. We give also technical assistance for the producers, and we established a traceability system to ensure the origin of the Amazonian cacao. We make chocolate. We have a production plant in Bogota. We bring the cacao beans from Caquetá to Bogota, and we produce the cacao in Bogota. Bogota the weather in Bogota is very good to make chocolate. We have in average 17 to 20 degrees every time. So it's a very good place to make chocolate, and that's that we do. So we integrate the producers to the market by the production of chocolates with fine aroma cacao. All of that allows us to pay to the producers at least a price premium of 30% up of the price of the market. The main challenges of our work is to improve the productivity, like said our colleague in Peru. Is very important to improve the productivity, the yields of the productivity in the field. Also to ensure the quality of the beans, specifically the drying process in a very high humidity environment. The moisture is very high, so to have a very good drying process is a big challenge. And the main risk for us is that the stability of the implementation of the agreement, the result of this process. We hope that will be that we have peace in the field. That is very important for us.
To Brazil, no?
Sorry.
Sorry, do you want to continue? Just
That's
to conclude?
it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Manuel. We will now head over to Rodrigo Mauro Freire. He is my colleague here at TNC. Have been working with cocoa such a long time. And I think, Rodrigo, the good piece, more than bringing the Brazilian context now of the Amazonian cocoa production, but how it can be perceived as a business case as well. So, and how is the importance of the international demand side and the private sector partnership engagement, concrete engagement on the success of this projects that TNC and others are working here in the country. Please, 5 minutes.
Hi, Fabiola and all. Can you hear me well? Yeah? Okay, if it cuts, please inform me, right? So one thing that I'd like to start sharing is that Brazil is one of the important countries, cocoa producers, right? Used to be in 80s, the biggest cocoa producer whole world, but because of witches-broom serious issue, nowadays we ranks the 7th or 8th position. 8th position, and Brazil has also interesting context. We are important, still are important cocoa cocoa bean producer. We have also a very significant cocoa processing industry here in Brazil, and we are one of the important chocolate consumers along the world too. So this matter is quite unique. The same country has all these assets in the same place, and the cocoa produced in Amazon rates around 50% of it the total volume in Brazil, like Andy said before in her presentation, right? This part, actually, almost the cocoa being produced in Brazilian Amazon is related to Pará state production, right? Pará state, where I'm based, is the most important state or provincia in terms of cocoa production. And another important thing related to market is that Brazil has, like also Andy presented, one of the biggest cocoa productivity per hectare, right? Because of the soil, the climate, and so on. And here in the Amazon, there is a average deforestation related to the total Amazon basin in Brazil related to 20%, or in other words, 20% of the total area have been deforested in the last couple of centuries. And the drive of deforestation have been the beef cattle ranching, right? And around 30% of the total cattle pasture land here in the Amazon is already degraded. And this become an opportunity to cocoa farmers, because here cocoa along smallholders, mainly through agroforest systems, can deliver better income 4 to 10 times more than the average cattle ranching crop, right? So here, cocoa agroforestry production and crops is becoming a very good business for smallholder farmers. And because of this history of deforestation and land use process, what is that since cocoa is a forest, Amazon rainforest and native species, it can be used like a forest restoration. Pará state recognized it like one of the techniques to restore forest here in Brazil, in Amazon, Brazilian Amazon. And so it's becoming a business opportunity, right? And since companies want to diversify their cocoa supply chain along the world, Brazil and Amazon become a very attractive business and opportunity. And how relate to your question, Fabiola. So how could us really enjoy and make this opportunity value, right? So it's needed a coalition of structure here. So we need good seeds and seedlings, cocoa seeds and seedlings being offered like by CEPLAC in the past, and we need to innovate, create new business for offer cocoa seeds, seedlings and other forest species, seeds and seedlings, business, agroforestry companies, and so on. It's needed also investment, like rural loans to farmers to implement those replacement of degraded pasturelands to agroforestry. So it's needed investment. And there's Banco da Amazônia. It's one of our partner here in Brazil, in Pará. And they are really focused on invest more in cocoa agroforest systems. And it's really needed to the companies, cocoa processing and chocolate brands to work together. And we are doing this right now here in Pará State together with like a platform of partners. We have Olan Cocoa Processing Industry, Mondelez Chocolate Brand, alignment to guarantee sustainable sourcing of cocoa beans to produce chocolate in a supply chain alignment since the field to the chocolate industry, and traceability, all sustainability responsibilities, all part of it. And another very important aspect of this business to really thrive is that in Brazil, the cocoa industry is still importing cocoa volume. Around 30% of the total volume is imported, has been imported. So it's important that we increase the volume, increase the productivity in new areas, mainly by replacing degraded lands to cocoa agroforest systems. So there's a clear business here, and I believe we can work in a broader platform to see how can we do cooperations along different countries. I hope bring some ideas and information to the table.
Thank you so much, Rodrigo. Before, and I really encourage you, all of you, to write your questions here into the chat for the speakers or even for all the speakers. But before, we do have a video here that will complement Rodrigo's speech, as another Brazilian perspective, bringing another Brazilian perspective, and a very important perspective that goes beyond Brazil, the indigenous communities perspective. So we do have a video, the Yanomami. Please, if you can just, it's a 4 minutes video, and then we will go directly to the Q&A or to the dialogue session. Please feel free to put your comments and questions as soon as you are ready to in the chat. Thank you.
Esse cacau é um cacau selvagem, um cacau nativo.
A gente está na beira do rio Urariquera. O rio Urariquera, as suas nascentes estão na Serra do Parima. A Serra do Parima é justamente o divisor de águas entre a bacia do rio Urariquera, que é da bacia do Amazonas, e as nascentes do rio Orinoco para a Venezuela. A terra indígena Yanomami é a maior do Brasil e hoje sofre com uma série de invasões, principalmente de garimpo. A gente estima aí pelo menos 5.000 garimpeiros.
Esse cacau, esse pequeno, que era a maioria do que nós colhemos aqui, ele certamente é um cacau muito bom. O fruto era muito pequeno, mas as amêndoas não eram pequenas. A casca era fina, tem a polpa é gostosa, ela é bem doce, uma acidez baixa. Então eu acho que eu acho que pelo menos não é um material inédito, pelo menos é um material bem diferente. O processo, ele começa na colheita, depois a gente está fazendo a quebra. Isso aí feito, a fermentação se inicia. Usa um termômetro próprio para fermentação. Essa temperatura chegar em 34 graus Celsius, você começa a revolver e ela vai subindo até chegar a 47 graus Celsius. Depois ela começa a declinar. Aí você retira do coxo e coloca ele no lugar para fazer a secagem.
Ficou muito importante essa oficina, muito importante. Nunca tinha acontecido nessa comunidade também. Se a gente levar a sério, vai ser muito legal. Não vai ser preciso ir na cidade trabalhar no escritório, né?
Aprender a trabalhar, aprender a secar, aprender a vender.
A gente vai conseguir ter um modelo de produção de cacau que seja sustentável, um modelo que respeite a natureza, que respeite as comunidades que estão aqui.
Thank you so much. We do have now more than 20 minutes for a debate, Q&A. I think just before a very, very brief wrap up, I think that we listen here, that the proposal around the Cocoa Amazon region, goes beyond the cocoa itself, goes beyond the product cocoa. It brings also, as Eduardo Trevisan said in our dialogue last week, it brings a broader experience to the consumers, and this is very important to say, and more than an experience is how we guarantee that the Amazonian experience brings the environmental and the social criteria that are so important for all supply chains in the current context and in the future, not only for climate issues, but for all the situations around disease and the social security. So how can we really guarantee that the consumers will understand, knows, and access? No, we have the basis. We know that a lot needs to be done in terms to structure the production, to structure a cooperation among countries, but the demand side, the business sector, the private sector, and the finance sector are very key, are key partners to really add and to combine efforts with the producers, the local alliances, and the multilateral organizations as World Bank to guarantee that this project will really goes and the results as more than an experience, no, a real solution through consumption experience. This is exactly what we are betting here. So I would like, there's one question here for Rodrigo Freire. I will start with this one, but I would love to encourage the representatives from the private sector, the demand side, to bring your feedback, to bring your perspectives. How feasible do you see this project? How much engaged do you want to be in the near future? What advice you could give to us as Latin Americans now and producers to really guarantee that this project will have the global component and the vertical, the total, the complete supply chain perspective, not only the producer side. So first of all, we started with you, Rodrigo. What in your opinion would be the main bottleneck for increasing sustainable cocoa production in Pará? And this is something that I would love to listen. Also, please, if you go, I will ask you to go into 2 to 3 minutes, please, just to guarantee that we have time for more questions.
Okay, so thank you, Guilherme, for the question. So yeah, there's different kind of barriers to be overcome here, right? So I can list them, the most important ones. So one thing is to guarantee cocoa increase, cocoa beans volume increase in the territory. We need really good quality seeds and seedlings to support new plantations, agroforest plantations, right? So this is one thing. And for cocoa beans, we have CEPLAC, federal agency, historic work, very important, crucial to lead us where we are nowadays. But to now on, what we need to do is have a clear approach, who is going to lead the coming decade of cocoa seeds and seedlings offer here in Pará, in Brazil. The private sector or the public-private sector join in Denver, and how to do that. So this is a point to be stressed. Second one would be how to bring other seeds and seedlings for different forest and agroforest species. This is a gap nowadays. It needs to be faced. So how can we really make this forest and agroforest seeds and seedling supply chain thrive to offer the inputs, germplasm for the cocoa agroforest plantations and also restoration. Investment. So bank have been starting investment on agroforestry here in Amazon through Amazon Bank. We have other kind of supporters like P4F and Humanized Foundation, but for using grants, we need really a private impact investment and bank loans, and also access to market. So cocoa, it's done. It has a clear market here, but the other products, Brazil nut, acai pulp fruit, palm pulp fruit, and other agroforest products need to access market. So we need to work out together in a way to leverage scale. I hope I answer your question.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I will also go to you, Guilherme. Consider that no one here did any question into the chat, but Guilherme Salata, if you could unmute yourself and speak on behalf of the World Cocoa, the Brazil Cocoa Action, sorry, about these trade issues. No, Cocoa Brazil Action, it's a platform that convenes also the private sector. No, so how do you see the Amazon Cocoa Region project on this market aspects? No, both national and international.
Hello, Fabiola. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I think, in my opinion, and I agree with Rodrigo, I think we have a lot of issues and seedlings and seeds and credit access, and it's some of the key topics for Brazil and Pará, increase the production. And about the market, I don't know, we should, how can I say, increase the production, and of course increase the productivity and the production in Pará to support a new industry, and stop to transport the cocoa to Bahia. And so, but we need to increase the production. Nowadays we have the industries in Bahia with how can I say, producing less than they are available to the grinders, the grinders. So I think we need to support this sustainable increase to support a new industry, and I don't know, it's my opinion.
And then a new, yeah, no, great. There are a strong and a kind of a long way to really guarantee that the production, the offer will be ready. But the presence of the international demand side.
But we need to increase in a sustainable way, and increasing the income for the producers, the growers, to support, stop the deforestation, and increasing working conditions in a sustainable way.
Okay, thank you.
Fabiola, if I may?
Sorry, no, just 1 minute. Yeah, just 1 minute. There's one question from Jose Tujios to John Dominique. John Dominique, you can just take a look into the chat and be prepared. But before hand over to you, I will invite Wendy. So please give me your comments, Wendy.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think we are doing a lot of emphasis on the global market and overlooking the national markets. Given that Brazil and Colombia, most of our market is national, I think we have to start thinking also to the national industry, to national consumers, of generating also awareness of the cocoa of the Amazon, coming from the Amazon. And because of course we look to the bigger companies and the global market, and I think we overlooking that, and that will mean a different strategy from the national industries as well. And the other question here is, we are almost, and please do not kill me, a niche market, because we are not producing common cocoa, we're producing fine and flavor. And so we have to talk to those demand in the global market, and try to generate partnerships in that niche market of production of a finer chocolate. And chocolate is not the only derivative of cocoa beans. We've not looked at all at pharmaceutical purposes of cocoa beans, cosmetic purpose of cocoa beans. And for us in the Amazon region, we need to put a lot of more money into research to see the nutrition components of our cocoa beans that could complement other areas or sectors of the industry. And I just, maybe that can also start opening eyes in terms of the cocoa that comes from the Amazon have special attributes in other terms, and we'll have to definitely look for niche markets, I believe.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I do agree with you. Beyond the food, but also the food security. But beyond, we do have other industries that can be included here in the national market. Rodrigo just brought to us that, or Guilherme, I think it was Rodrigo. 30% the consumption in Brazil is imported of cocoa. So can you imagine the importance of the national markets? Also internal trade exchange between us as countries, something that we can also explore a little bit. Yeah, great, thank you. So now, Jean-Dominique, there's a question here that it's also really important about the incentives to the producers, mainly to the communities and to the indigenous communities, but the people who lives in the forest and who depends on the forest to also as a work, as a place to get your own conditions to live. So how do you think, how do you think that we can really unlock the credit to create more and better opportunities for the community to access the credit and also to improve and increase their own productions models towards the sustainability?
Thank you. That is an important question indeed. There is multiple aspects or potential answers to this one because there is no one solution. But I guess it's important to go to the legality, the formality first of the farmers' cooperatives to be recognized, because that will facilitate access to credit. And here it's important also to develop the collaboration with private sector buyers of the cocoa, because and we've seen that in Western Africa. At the preliminary stages, when the smallholders are not formal, they can obtain some kind of loans with the buyers, of course, following some specific requirements on quality and forest preservation, etc. In the second stage, it's important that through the government and international institutions, there is a support to facilitate the land tenure definition and to support those farmers to be fully formal. And then we can develop some specific credit lines, of course, following again some criteria and indicators which are demonstrating how those farmers are producing while preserving the forest. And then after you can add different financial tools, such as the blended finance. The World Bank, for example, is providing some grants in some cases which could de-risk some private sector investment, and then you can crowd in some impact funds, etc., which could support that kind of sustainable agroforestry production. But in fact, as you saw, there are several stages, but I would say that the primary one will be to get the formality first. That will be the first step. Yeah.
Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. There's a question here to Miguel. I will to Spanish. Miguel, tiene una cuestión aquí para usted, ¿no? Que es de qué tipo de fertilizantes han usado para incrementar la productividad, Pero yo quisiera también escucharte un poco, ¿sabes? Sobre esto de las dificultades de acceso a crédito, ¿sabes? Entonces, primero sobre los fertilizantes, pero escucharle un poquito también, ¿no? Desde su perspectiva, cómo ha sido, ¿no? Este acceso a créditos y qué ves, ¿no? Como una solución también para esto. Muchas gracias.
Aló.
Aló. Te escuchamos bien.
Ya, muchas gracias. Como digo, nosotros hemos padecido primero en tema de cómo producir cacao. Teníamos lo más importante que eran las plantaciones, los que nuestros abuelos, nuestros padres han plantado, pero no producían. Ahora nosotros como hijos, de pronto que queríamos seguir el rubro de la agricultura, hemos empezado a capacitarnos. No teníamos opciones a créditos. El Estado casi no nos ayudaba acá en el Perú, y lo único que teníamos que, gracias a Dios, tenía un amigo que me recomendó en la financiera, empecé a sacar un préstamo para yo invertir en fertilización, porque ya la Alianza Cacao nos dijo que fertilizar es muy bueno. Pero antes de fertilizar hemos entrado en lo que es en sí el manejo cultural, como las podas, control de plagas. Con solo hacer eso, nuestra producción, wow, subió un 30%. Y dije, sí, el cacao es bueno, dije, no era lo que mis padres producían poco. Dije, ¿qué voy a hacer con este cacao que no produce? Pero ya haciendo las labores culturales, la poda, el manejo subió. Y más el préstamo que un amigo me garantizó en el banco, empecé a fertilizar. Utilizamos como compost, guano de isla, productos que ayudaban a la planta a producir más. Porque ya la planta no estaba produciendo. ¿Por qué no estaba produciendo? Porque había gastado nutrientes durante 5 o 6 años que producía y no se le echaba nada. Cuando ya empezamos a fertilizar, ya empezó a producir. Más la tecnología de pronto que la Alianza Cacao nos ha ofrecido con sus técnicos élites, vimos el resultado. En eso del Estado llegó lo que es la titulación de terrenos. Logré sacar mi título de mi finca y con eso me fui al banco. ¿Sabes qué? Ahora ya no quiero fertilizar 1 hectárea, quiero fertilizar 2. Con eso saqué mi préstamo y empecé a fertilizar. Como dije, para producir cacao, primero, lo importante es tener esa mente de empresario. Ya no agricultor, sino mente de empresario. ¿El empresario qué hace? ¿Qué hicimos nosotros? Invertimos en tecnología, invertimos en asesoramiento, nos capacitamos cómo producir un cacao de calidad, un cacao de pronto que sea rentable, porque producir 600 kilos no era rentable. Mejor me dedico a hacer otra cosa, pero ya producir 3 toneladas, 2 toneladas, ya era rentable para nosotros. Y empezamos a capacitarnos, empezamos a producir un cacao de calidad, asesorarnos y empezar a hacer nuestras propias investigaciones nosotros como empresarios, como agricultores. Y ahí va el detalle de pronto de mejorar nuestros granos, ver clones que sí producen, en el tema de finos de aromas, en el tema también de producción, porque el agricultor lo que quiere ver es dinero. Si no ve dinero, simplemente nuestros hijos se van y empiezan a hacer otra cosa. Y nosotros vimos que sí es rentable. Empezamos a cambiar clones productivos. Empezamos de pronto a injertar clones que no estaban produciendo, que simplemente me daban plagas. ¿Qué dije yo? Acá no me está produciendo. Esta es mi empresa. Si este señor no me produce, entonces ¿qué hago? Lo cambio. Empezamos a mejorar otros clones, calidad, finos de aroma. Tengo clones que sí producen. Investigar con otros agricultores. Investigar con el apoyo de la Alianza Cacao, salir a ver otras parcelas, de ahí traer otros clones, otras semillas. Y así empezamos a producir cacao de calidad. Y después de eso entramos al tema de secao, las organizaciones que tenemos nosotros. ¿Por qué? Porque simplemente producíamos cacao, pero ¿dónde de pronto lo malogramos a nuestro cacao? En el secao, en el fermentado. ¿Qué rato hacíamos? Nosotros nos asesoramos con asociaciones que ellos sí hacían todo el beneficio y poder exportar cacao de calidad. Eso es lo que hacemos. Como siempre digo, para producir cacao hay que capacitarnos, fertilizar, utilizar la tecnología y salir a ver otros lados. Y eso nos va a ayudar a producir más cacao y así nuestros hijos van a seguir produciendo cacao. Porque si no, de pronto, si no hacemos estos, no va a terminar acá nomás. Mientras si nosotros seguimos trabajando, nuestros hijos nos siguen.
Gracias, Miguel. Disculpe interromper, ¿no? Es que estamos con el tiempo ya. I would like to really say a big thanks to all the panelists, all the participants. We have the session record. We would love to share this session also with all of you, to share with your own partners. We are starting something new here, but everybody here knows how important and how this is more than an opportunity. This is a responsibility that we do have to protect our biome and to guarantee, a supply from the cocoa to the world based on sustainable social and economic criteria. Thank you so much. We are finishing the session here, but yeah, again, thanks for the World Cocoa Foundation team for whole support.
Thank you, the World Cocoa Foundation. Thank you, Fabiola, so much.
Wendy.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Gracias. Hasta luego.
Bye.
Gracias.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.